Solo leveling is ruining anime? Whatever do you mean, brother? What are we talking about? I love solo leveling. I think it's tough. Now, granted, it's not the most in-depth as far as the story goes. It's not super layered. I get that. What the fuck you like? All right. Let's talk about it. What's going on?
Is solo leveling success a sign that anime, and therefore anime fans, are getting dumber? Like it or not, this is pretty much an argument that anybody in any anime space has been subjected to over the course of the last couple of months. Because the solo leveling has rose in prominence, not only becoming by far and away the most popular anime on Earth, but also notching in its belt of achievement an Anime of the Year award for its first season. Two factions have begun to arise, arguing bitterly to the end that either solo leveling is the worst Anime of the Year winner ever, or that solo leveling deserves all of the praise that it gets. See, solo leveling to many people lacks the emotional and narrative complexity required to achieve an Anime of the Year.
Okay, fair. Like I said, it's not the most in-depth as far as story goes, but I like this anime. I'm not against it at all.
And to add insult to injury to those people, the show that seemingly lost the most closely to solo leveling in the Anime of the Year award category, Frieren, had the emotional and narrative complexity to be deserving of the Anime of the...
Okay, fair. One, I've never seen this anime. Don't at me, okay? Don't hate me. I just never seen it. I have heard of the anime, but I've never actually watched it. I don't know what it's about. But I personally am a huge fan of anime when it has an incredible story attached to it, when it has character development imbued into the anime, into the series. You get to see these characters grow and develop over time. You get to see storylines that are so layered that you have to understand this character's history and that character's history in order to understand the entire encompassing storyline. Right? I love those type of anime, which is why I'm a huge fan of Attack on Titan. It's the reason I'm a huge fan of those type of animes, right? I'm not going to start listing them off. What I'm saying is this: the most popular anime are always going to be inclusive of fighting, of action sequences, because that is the most popularized aspect of anime. Are there anime that are more romance heavy? Yes. Are there more anime that are like detective mystery heavy? Yes. But for the majority of the time, it is the action heavy anime that is the most popularized. Anyway, let's keep going.
Year award. And thus, not only is there a contingent of people out there who believe that A, solo leveling did not deserve Anime of the Year, but B, that Frieren was snubbed. But is this event, solo leveling winning Anime of the Year over something complex and beautiful like Frieren, a sign of the anime community getting dumber? Or is it a singular event brought about by the immense popularity of solo leveling? Well, today I'm trying to answer that question exactly, because today we're talking, is anime getting dumber? But before we get to discussing anything, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you guys are looking for one additional Nick video a week, you can go ahead and find my Naruto reaction series using the fourth wall link in my description below. We're in the forest of death, and Sasuke is awoken from his long nap, and he's snapping a couple of arms like twigs. So, the base of the argument that we're talking about today stems from the fact that a lot of people believe that solo leveling, as in anime and manhwa, is objectively dumb, right? That's the problem.
How, bro? Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's dumb, bro. I hate that mindset. If somebody doesn't like something, it's automatically dumb and stupid and not good, etc. Listen, we're all different human beings with different tastes and likes and interests and all of that good stuff. So what may not do it for you does it for someone else. I am personally not a huge romance guy. I don't like rom-coms like that. I don't like romance movies like that. They're cool, I guess, but they're not my type of vibe. Like, the only one I could think that I am a huge fan of, like, I can watch this movie again and again and again, and it's the only romance-related movie or whatever piece of intellectual property that I can sit through, is, like, Love Don't Cost a Thing. But it's because I grew up with that movie. Like, that was a part of my childhood growing up in a black household. I could watch that movie all the time. And it's, like, heavy. You know, it's other elements that gravitate towards it. Whatever, I digress. What I'm trying to say is this: I'm not huge on romance, but I don't go around shitting on anything that's romance related. I'm just not going to indulge in it. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? I'm not going to ingest it. It's really that simple. So for you to say Solo Leveling is dumb and the people who watch it are dumb, etc., etc., it's like, bro, shut the fuck up. Stop hating. Fuck is you hating for?
Leveling is the most popular anime on Earth right now, but people believe that as an IP, it's stupid, and therefore, because Solo Leveling is so popular, anime itself, and therefore by extension, anime fans, must be getting stupider. But is it? Is Solo Leveling dumb? Or is it at least unusually dumb? Or is it just the most popular version of something that has always existed? See, if you slide away all the superlatives that are constantly hucked at Solo Leveling, at its core, it's just a reverse isekai slash dungeon crawling anime. Sometimes monsters come to the real world, and other times Jinwoo and hunters go through portals to get to dungeons to fight monsters. Sprinkle in some power fantasy elements into there, and boom, you have Solo Leveling. Now, does that make for a dumb show? Well, we can't really say. See, because here's the thing. Solo Leveling does have a deeply, and I mean deeply uncomplicated power system.
Yeah.
It's a power system that anybody who's ever played an RPG or
Very
an
simple.
MMORPG understands innately. Jinwoo kills monsters, puts points in dexterity, strength,
XP.
intelligence, and boom, he's better at individual things.
Yeah.
Mix in a little bit of light necromancy and cool. Yeah, I've built this character in WoW. But Jinwoo as an MC isn't the only thing that sounds vaguely familiar when you break down Solo Leveling to its core components. In fact, this 0 to hero's journey trope is almost a necessity in power fantasy, reverse isekai, or dungeon crawling anime. Just to name a few anime that are thematically almost identical to Solo Leveling, in just the last couple of years, we've seen things like Arafuda, From
like
Commonplace to World's Strongest.
I like this anime. I thought it was pretty cool.
I mean, my god, the 0 to hero is literally in the title. Slime Isekai, one of the most popular isekai on Earth, starts with the main character Rimuru as a slime, the weakest being in this fantastical world, who slowly but surely consumes his way to becoming the top entity in the entire universe. Rising of the Shield Hero, which is currently releasing its 4th season right now, has an
Yeah, I like this one as well. I didn't get past season 2, so I do have to go back and check that out, but this was a good one too. Rising of the Shield Hero. I watched the first 2 seasons and I was pretty satisfied with it.
MC who's reincarnated into a fantasy world as the weakest and most hated kind of hero, the shield hero, just to find a hack in the system that allows for him to consume other people's powers and use them through his shield. And if that sounds familiar to you, yeah, it's because it's exactly how Slime Isekai, and to a lesser extent, how Solo Leveling work. And the Rising of the Shield Hero also has a vaguely RPG-esque leveling system, which allows for the MC of Rising of the Shield Hero, whose name I've forgotten because I dropped it 2 episodes into season 2, to rise above all other heroes in existence as the greatest hero to ever live. But some of you are saying right now, all those anime you just listed are straight up isekai, and you're right, they are. But what if I told you there is a massively, and I mean massively popular anime that is not only a dungeon crawler, but also has reverse isekai elements that all centers around an MC who starts as the weakest kind of hero he can be, but through an RPG-esque leveling system slowly becomes the strongest hero in the universe. You'd probably say, well, Nick, you're just describing Solo Leveling. But nope, I'm describing Danmachi. Is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? Yes, the show.
I like this show too. This was actually funny. And look, I'm not big on these type of anime. I'm really not. And when I say that, I mean in specific, I'm not watching anime to watch this character start have a like I said, romance life and start picking up girls and Like, that's not what I watch anime for. I really don't. I don't like a lot of fan service either. One of my favorite anime, unfortunately, is High School of the Dead, which had so much unnecessary fan service, ridiculous fan service. Okay, we all know what I'm talking about right now. But yeah, like I still appreciate this type of anime. You know what I mean? And Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon was a decent watch. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It's never going to make my top 10 or my top 20, but it was a decent watch, you know? Like, you got to just be able to embrace it, even if it's not 100% for you. It is what it is.
That has 5 seasons of content. Danmachi, also known as Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, is a story that revolves around a main protagonist by the name of Belle, who's not only an adventurer of literally the lowest level, but also an adventurer who ties his allegiance back to an incredibly weak god. As only by working collaboratively with the gods, our adventurer is able to tap into that RPG-esque leveling system we talked about earlier. However, through sheer perseverance and and close to death experiences, Bell is able to slowly but surely level his way into becoming one of, if not the most powerful adventurer on Earth. And you're gonna love this, the main love interest of Don Machi, for Bell is an absurdly powerful female adventurer known for her grace and dancing like sword combat. Yes, Ais Wallenstein and Che Ha-in are the same person. First-class blonde adventurers who dance their way through dungeons, slicing down monsters in their wake. All the while, the main protagonists of their universe chase after them until eventually they far surpass their level of power. So, solo leveling is not a new concept. But if it's not a new concept, then why is it so ridiculously popular? What separates it from all of the other anime that I just listed? Well, it's un-anime-like. See, power fantasy anime are absurdly popular, like mind-bogglingly, incomprehensibly popular. Even the really bad ones. But why? Well, because quite frankly, a lot of anime fans are obsessed with the concept of power. They need their MCs to feel powerful because maybe they as fans don't. But unfortunately, power fantasy anime are almost always written by deeply insecure men who feel the need to project some kind of incel wet dream into their universe. Women either need to be vilified or sorted into some kind of harem based off their breast size.
And this is again what I'm saying. I am not a fan of this stuff. I'm really not. I'm not watching anime to watch titties bounce. Okay? I'm not one of them dudes, like, I'm not one of them hentai, however the fuck you pronounce it, type of niggas. I'm not that, bro. I can watch titties bounce in real life, all right? I don't need to watch it through my anime, my nigga. I really don't, okay? So I've never been a fan of that shit. I really haven't. If I'm gonna watch anime, I want an in-depth story that gravitates and captivates me, that continues to progress at a nice pace, that includes characters that I care about, and I get to see these characters develop over time and change as people, as humans, as whatever they are. Like, that's the type of anime that I love. Okay, I don't watch anime to watch them get girls. I don't watch anime to watch titties bounce and fan service and this and that. I don't watch it for that. So I've never been a fan of that type of shit. You understand? Which is why these type of anime where it's like heavy dungeon, they drill that shit into it. And I'm just not a fan. It's the main reason why I put solo leveling above Sword Art Online. And a lot of people want to decapitate me for that statement alone. But I'm sorry, I'm not a big SAO fan. I'm really not. I was when it first came out. I was raving about Sword Art. Okay? I was raving about it. And then it went into super heavy romance and I lost interest very quickly. Solo leveling, on the other hand, has never introduced any type of love interest. It's been straight gangster. It's been about fighting. I'm moving my mic. It's been about fighting. It's been about fucking leveling up. It's been about just the story. Him going to dungeons, fighting different monsters, gaining experience, upgrading his weapons, making sure his melee abilities are up there, doing whatever he has to do, gaining new. Like, what are we talking about? Nothing in solo leveling has to do with the romance shit that Sword Art and a bunch of other anime in this lane try to shove down our throats, okay? That's why solo leveling is at the top of it. Because a lot of us aren't interested in that shit. We're not interested in seeing titties bounce in the anime. We're not interested in seeing them fall in love in the anime. We watch anime for the fights and the stories, primarily. So when you try to shoehorn romance in it, we're not going for it 9 times out of 10. Yo guys, so I'm editing this video right now. I wanted to mention, I just said that I don't like romance and a lot of anime, cool, that they don't really, cool, whatever. Chainsaw Man Raise arc did it really well. They added romance in there very, very well. I just wanted to add this little bit in there so that, you know what I mean? Like, that movie added romance into the anime extremely well. 2 thumbs up. Y'all did that correctly. Anyway, I'm done talking. Back to the video. Let's get it.
And if women aren't being treated like demons or some objects for the MC to collect, the author will just go the other way and thinly veil their fetish throughout the entirety of their own story. Whether that's scantily clad children, vines/tentacles seemingly always finding a way to get their hands on the girl of the party, the MC marrying their cousin, or the MC being groomed by their magic teacher and then marrying them later as an adult, these power fantasy anime always come with some kind of caveat that cause fans all over the world to simply say, well, you know, it's anime. It's gonna be weird sometimes. But what some
Unfortunately.
fans are able to write off, others aren't. I don't care how good the world building is.
The only one I've been able to sit through, the only two anime I've been able to sit through that incorporate that type of romance and not hentai, but fucking fan service, borderline hentai at that point, is High School of the Dead. Just because I'm such a zombie fanatic that anything zombie related I'm gonna gravitate towards, so it was only natural a zombie anime would grab my attention, right? But then, Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Just because I was honestly entertained by the comedy of it. Other than that, I'm not into these type of anime. I'm really not. I'm gonna just disassociate immediately. You know, it is what it is. It's not for me.
Want to watch a 30-year-old reincarnated as an 11-year-old sexually assaulted 12-year-old. I don't want to watch one of the first things that my main character do be buy a slave and then enter into some weird kind of relationship with said slave because said slave was 11 when he bought him and is now conveniently 18 because of how leveling in this world works. Soul leveling doesn't come with any of those caveats. Jinwoo is a not so interesting MC throughout the duration of his story, but he is lovable, not only before his power-up, but after. He's a man singularly motivated by helping out his sister and his mother, who has at max 2 potential love interests throughout the entire duration of his story, with one real clear winner who's treated as a human being. And while the show doesn't have a lot of prominent female characters who aren't treated as the extension of the men in their life, the show doesn't have a lot of prominent anything characters who are treated as anything but an extension of Jinwoo's life. See, I'm not saying that the women in Solo Leveling are particularly well written, but nobody in Solo Leveling is particularly well written. And if everyone's kind of bland from a character perspective, well, then at least they're equal. See, what I'm trying to say here is that Solo Leveling has always existed. It's just never been this marketable. But does this mean that all power fantasy anime are written as plainly as Solo Leveling, where a bad guy is introduced and then immediately cut?
Like, listen, it's not my type of anime, but I'm sure there's a huge demographic. Matter of fact, I'm not sure. I'm positive there's a huge fan base for that type of anime. I'm just not part of that fan base. I'm not. You know, so I'm sure there's a bunch of anime that are in that lane that are much more in depth. Story-wise, they're super layered, but I don't watch that anime, so I wouldn't know. My first time watching Solo Leveling, it reminded me so much of Sword Art with that video game-esque type of idea with the anime, but it felt different. It felt super different. It was executed completely differently, and that's why I put Solo Leveling above Sword Art every single time. You know, they didn't shoehorn the romance into Solo Leveling the way they did Sword Art and a bunch of other anime in this lane.
Down by the main character so the main character can get stronger in aura form. Well, yeah, kind of actually. But Solo Leveling is unique in the fact that it is a true zero to hero story while also simultaneously being a power fantasy anime. See, your average power fantasy anime usually starts with the main character being unfairly categorized as weak, but in actuality, they're very strong. Take, for example, your prototypical power fantasy anime, like The Misfit at Demon King Academy, or Overlord, or The Irregular at Magic School, or maybe even Classroom of the Elite. All of these shows constantly rely on the fact that the people around the overpowered MC don't know the MC is overpowered, and thus the people around the MC attack the MC or try to steal a woman from his harem. They corner the MC into a situation that requires the MC to show them their massive power. And this is why I always say that these kind of anime fall into the incel wet dream category, because all of these situations are just thinly veiled allegories for the authors being bullied, and how in those moments the authors wish they could have unveiled some kind of ridiculous power to overcome their bullies. And this is why the power fantasy genre is so incredibly popular, because there's a lot of people out there who draw strength from watching their MCs overcome situations that they themselves couldn't. How do I know this? Well, because I loved power fantasy anime when I was 16 years old and getting bullied into oblivion. My sophomore year of high school was hell on earth. I went to a private school, a boarding school, and I lived in a single because I had nobody who wanted to live with me in a double. I lived in one of the smaller dorms with the majority of the juniors and seniors from our hockey team, and some kid whose dad was 100 millionaire or a billionaire. And because the food at our school was so bad, almost every single night he would order pizza for the entire dorm. However, he would specifically make sure that I couldn't have any. And if I wanted a piece, I would have to do something like throw myself down the stairs or take a piece of pizza and and slap it on my chest and then eat that piece. And that was just an iota of the things I was going through sophomore year. And thus, because I had no way out of that situation, I found solace in watching people in imaginary situations overcome situations similar to mine. Now, fortunately, I learned that if you get funny, no one can make fun of you because you can just make fun of them worse. And I pulled myself out of situations where people would be able to take advantage of me or push me around. And thus, my desire to engage with power fantasy anime slowly but surely subsided, as I didn't need to engage in that fantasy because I'd achieved it in my real life. But this is where the appeal of Solo Leveling comes in, because Solo Leveling isn't predicated on people around the MC believing the MC is weak when he isn't, because the MC, Jinwoo, actually just starts incredibly weak. Well, yes, over the duration of Solo Leveling, for a little bit there, people believe that Jinwoo should be weaker than he currently is when he's like a B-ranked hunter, but he should be an E-ranked hunter, and Jinwoo was able to cut down the people who would take advantage of him because they thought he was an E-ranked hunter. But honestly, this is the kind of mistake that's understandable. Jinwoo should be an E-ranked hunter, and that's the part that separates Solo Leveling from your standard power fantasy anime. We watch Jinwoo work to get stronger. And all of those other anime I listed, like Overlord, Classroom of the Elite, Irregular at Magic School, Misfit at Demon King Academy, there's no work being done. The MC's coming to the story stronger than everybody else in the universe, and thus it's pure power fantasy. But we can watch Jinwoo work for every ounce of strength that he has, and therefore when he's able to apply that strength,
if anything, I enjoy watching him train and get stronger and gain experience and level up. Like, that's one of the best parts about the anime. Yeah, the fights are fire, you know what I mean? The fights are hard, but the most entertaining part of Solo Leveling is watching him literally level up, watching the progression. You know what I mean? That's by far the best part. It's so tough.
To get a leg up on people who would try to take advantage of him, try to kill him, try to rob him. We can not only glean more satisfaction from that, but also people on a wider range can relate to it. Because now it's not just about Jinwoo overcoming his bullies, it's about a person overcoming their limits. However, Solo Leveling is not without its faults. Even amongst power fantasy animes, it's relatively simple. Even at its most complex, which is the introduction of the monarchs and the rulers, these primordial gods and creators of universes that have been battling for thousands, if not tens of thousands of years, they're still just treated as pins for Jinwoo to eventually knock down. Powerful pins, but still just increasingly powerful pins that slowly but surely Jinwoo has to slice his way through until there's nobody left. Even SAO, which is objectively at its lowest, way worse than Solo Leveling, and at its best.
Thank you for saying it, because when I say it, I'm the bad guy, okay? Apparently, I have been, you know what I mean? I'm not allowed to say that Sword Art Online is not good. There's going to be a flock of people in the comments below that are going to want my head, okay? They're going to want my head on a stake. I'm sorry. I don't like Sword Art Online. I don't.
SAO, which is objectively at its lowest, way worse than Solo Leveling, and at its best, probably still worse than Solo Leveling, offers more complex scenario scenes and emotional developments than Solo Leveling at its peak. I mean, the Excalibur arc alone proves that point. And I believe that's the hole in Solo Leveling's armor, and where this argument comes from. See, because Solo Leveling becoming insanely popular was only a matter of time. In the era of animation that we currently exist in, a power fantasy anime with a stomachable MC and no gross anime tropes was sure to blow up. But with Solo Leveling's absolutely explosive growth in popularity, large swaths of the anime community are seeing something for the first time that a lot of us have always known to be true, which is a lot of anime is style over substance. But why? Isn't that substance what makes anime great, what separates it from all of the forms of media? Well, kind of, but also not really. See, because here's the thing. A lot of kids watch anime. And more than that, a lot of people watch anime way less seriously than you. Some things get popular because they're popular. Labubu's, the Kardashians, Solo Leveling. Some people only watch one anime a year. And your pitch to them that the actual best anime of all time follows a group of middle school girls who become magical girls to fight against witches, but slowly but surely become the witches themselves, stuck in a forever time loop fighting against something called the Walpurgisnacht, is gonna fall on deaf ears. But Is Solo Leveling a sign of dumber anime fans, or just a flash in the pan? An inevitability that was sure to come about when given enough time, given how—
Solo Leveling is a great anime for people who love this style of anime, this lane of anime. Like I said, when I watched it, it reminded me of Sword Art Online so much. Okay, but they executed it so much better. But the thing is, like with anything else in this world, when something gets popular, there's going to be the core of that thing that understand it in its entirety, who appreciate it in its entirety. But then alongside that, you're going to have your scragglers who just come along because it's popular and they want to be hip to what's currently trendy. That's it. That's literally it. There's people who don't know nothing about an art form or whatever it is, but as soon as it becomes the talk of the town, now they're interested, okay? Sometimes they might actually happen to like this new thing that's trendy. Others are only hopping on the bandwagon because it's trendy and they want acceptance and validation, etc. But for the most part, most of us who watch these anime, who consume anime on a daily, monthly, yearly basis, who have been since we were in our young teens, if not younger, we understand the substance within this anime, and that's what gravitates us towards that. That's why we binge it so much religiously. But not everybody's like that. You have the percentage of people who just come because something is now popular. That's it. It's just how human beings are. Okay, it's just human nature. It is what it is.
How many people in the anime community want to watch somebody be absurdly strong? Well, I have not an ounce of doubt in my heart when I tell you that over the course of the last 10 to 15 years, anime has gotten less complex, specifically in the region of power systems. But is that because of the lowered intellect of anime fans? I wouldn't say so. See, yes, the days of Nen, Chakra, Ryatsu, and other power systems so incredibly complex you need to take a college-level course to understand them to their fullest may be behind us. That's not because anime fans are getting dumber. It's because manga are getting shorter. See, because insanely complicated power systems are a sign of a manga that's over 200 chapters long. You can't set up Nen or Chakra or spiritual pressure in under 200 chapters. Yeah. And the vast majority of the most popular manga on Earth right now are under or close to 200 chapters long. Chainsaw Man just hit chapter 200. Dandadan is about 20 chapters short of chapter 200. Sakamoto Days is at chapter 224-ish. Kagurabachi is at chapter 89. Machiakata is at 140, and Kaiju number 8 just ended at 130. These manga either haven't had the requisite amount of time to set up these incredibly complex universes, or simply never will. But Nick, some of you are saying right now, what about JJK? JJK exists as a literal cautionary tale to mangakas all across the world that trying to fit an incredibly complex power system into roughly 270 chapters is like shooting yourself in the foot.
And that's a fucked up conversation to have, because I actually like Jujutsu Kaisen. I like it so far, but I also see a lot of issues that I'm just noticing some issues as I'm watching it. And I think he hit the nail on the head with that statement. And I think that explains what I've been feeling about JJK for a little while now. I just didn't know how to explain it, but that pretty much, yeah, that does it.
Roughly 270 chapters is like shooting yourself in the foot. My literal, and I mean literal, job is to explain JJK. And the power system of that universe is so deeply, unnecessarily complex that every time I want to make a video talking about JJK, I have to spend 3 to 4 hours just rereading all the rules. Oh, you want to make a video talking about Hikari and Karara? Okay, cool. Have fun remembering how both of their techniques work. And not only that, when you overcomplicate a power system, you write yourself into a corner. JJK being an incredible example of this. Because when Gege Akutami was done with JJK and simply wanted the story to end, he had to binding vow his way through every single fight to make sure that someday he'd be able to put his pen down. And thus, by far and away, the biggest gripe that JJK fans had with the ending of JJK's manga was that it completely disregarded this incredibly complex power system that was set up meticulously over the course of 250 chapters. A problem that a mangaka doesn't have to worry worry about if they don't try to set up a power system more complicated than organic chemistry too. See, I don't think anime and manga's beeline towards simplicity is a sign of decay, because anime's overcomplication and occasional gross tropes that kept the normies away was just the anime community's way of gatekeeping the thing that they got bullied for enjoying before everybody else wanted to tap in. On top of this, while Solo Leveling did win Anime of the Year, the other most popular anime of the year, the ones in contention for Anime of the Year alongside Solo Leveling, were Delicious in Dungeon, Frieren, Dandadan, and Apothecary Diaries. And Kaiju number.
Listen, I'm being real. Out of all these options, I've heard of Dandadan. I do want to check that one out. Still haven't had a chance to do so. I will soon. Kaiju number 8, I started, still haven't finished it, but I haven't really heard too much raving about it. Here and there, yeah, but not too much. But the others I haven't really heard of. But Solo Leveling, I watched every fucking episode. I binged it, and I started reading the manhwa because I wanted to continue to understand how the story was going to progress. Okay, so if you're telling me these were the 6 options for Anime of the Year, yeah, it's yo, bro, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer that Solo Leveling was going to win this. I'm sorry, like. Sorry to burst your bubble if you wanted another one to win, but Solo Leveling was by far the most talked about anime of 2025 other than Gacha Yakuza, okay? And then Gacha Yakuza wasn't even an option here, so yeah.
Right. One of these things is not like the other. That is a show about an immortal mage's difficulty to connect to the mortals in her life. A show about cooking monsters animated by Studio Trigger, Sherlock Holmes in a cat girl's body living in the Forbidden Palace, and genuinely the most complex and well-written group of characters maybe ever penned into anime in Dandadan. So yes,
I need to watch Dandadan. What? That is crazy. I'm watching that next. Say less. You have to say less. Okay.
Into anime in Dandadan. So yes, Solo Leveling won, but we have never had such diversity for consideration for Anime of the Year. So is anime getting dumber, and is it Solo Leveling's fault? No. Mangas are getting shorter and power systems are getting streamlined so mangakas can focus on more important things. Something like character development instead of spending 7 whole pages trying to describe how Kurapika's little finger dolphin works. And me, personally, as an anime and manga enjoyer, I prefer that. And you are talking to maybe Hunter x Hunter's #1 fan. So no, anime is not getting dumber, and no, it's not Solo Leveling's fault. Solo Leveling is good, and it's well animated, and its MC is likable, and there's a clear and understandable romance that doesn't make you feel icky, and it's popular, and it's easy to pitch to your friends who don't watch anime. Not everything needs to be an overly complex character-driven masterpiece. You want to know why? Because those exist elsewhere. Watch Dandadan, watch Apothecary Diaries, watch Madoka Magica. You don't go to Haagen-Dazs and complain to the person scooping ice cream that they don't have steak. Having the opinion that anime and manga are getting dumber just means that you interact with the dumbest iterations of anime and manga. If you want a deeply mega shonen level complex power system that makes you feel good when you finally understand it, read Witch Hat Atelier. If you want a lovable cast of characters that drive the story even when they're doing incredibly mundane things, Dandadan. I feel as though Jinwoo doesn't work hard enough in his story and needs to suffer for the power that he gets. Berserk. You want to see a more complex break out of the mold mythical world? Sabuki Bisco. Solo Leveling is like Caitlin Clark to the WNBA. I don't care if you don't like it. You have to acknowledge it's good for the league. And if you can't see that, well, I don't know. Go watch whatever new TV show Marvel just dropped that no one else is watching. Or turn your brain off and enjoy some Solo Leveling. I'm curious to hear from you guys. Do you?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I really like this video. I'm not gonna lie. I really like this video. The Weeb Commander, I salute you, my guy. I really do. I think your take on this entire topic was very insightful, and you said a lot of good points that I wholeheartedly agree with, okay? Solo Leveling is fucking dope. If you haven't seen it, give it a chance, check it out. Like he said, turn your brain off if you're super complex and want super complex storylines and narratives, etc. It's not that, okay? But if you like a zero to hero type of story without all the extra romance shit that might get shoehorned into some of these anime, Solo Leveling is the one, okay? Yeah, on that note, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.